I'm Officer Michael McCary with the Raleigh Police Department. I've been training de-escalation skills for first responders for over a decade. Brain injury is something that is not always talked about, despite hundreds of thousands to millions of people each year sustaining one. It can affect the person, family, and community, often feeling all-consuming and life-changing in an instant. These changes could lead to a crisis requiring emergency intervention to keep all those who are involved safe. It's imperative that first responders understand not only what brain injury is, but how it can display in a crisis. In this video, we will be hearing from people who have experienced brain injury themselves and their family members. We will look at how brain injury can present in crisis and how common related changes may influence interactions. Lastly, we will present scenarios inspired by real-life events to emphasize de-escalation techniques and strategies to keep in mind that are specific to individuals with brain injury. The brain is made up of billions of tiny cells that communicate with each other at rapid rates to influence how we as people think, act, and feel. An acquired brain injury, or ABI, occurs after birth when these brain cells are injured. It is different from other cognitive diseases, such as Alzheimer's, as it is not passed through generations and does not characteristically deteriorate over time. ABI can be further divided into traumatic and non-traumatic brain injury. Non-traumatic injuries to the brain result from internal forces such as stroke, ruptured aneurysms, tumors, or even events causing a lack of oxygen to the brain, cardiac arrest, strangulation, overdoses, etc. Traumatic brain injuries, or TBIs, result from external forces impacting the brain or skull. Some of the most common causes of TBI in the U.S., according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, are falls, assaults, and motor vehicle accidents. These TBIs can occur even if the skull is not damaged or if the person remains conscious. Even though the brain is surrounded by natural buffers, when someone is in a situation where the body is moving and suddenly stops, such as a motor vehicle collision or fall, the brain may hit the inside of the skull, resulting in bruising, bleeding, tearing, or swelling, leading to the death of brain cells. This can affect how the brain communicates with the rest of the body to impact everything we do. If you think of a brain as the consistency of jello, when the head moves, the brain may also move within the skull and lag behind. The result can be tearing within the brain, creating injury to several areas, not just the area of impact. Knowing the interworking of the brain and changes allows us to understand the relationship between what's happening on the inside of the body and how it affects outside behavior. For example, the brain itself is divided up into defined areas with primary responsibilities, ranging from simple movements to complex decision-making, visual processing, and emotional control. Making the connection between the brain and behavior can allow us to use particular strategies and promote more positive, empathetic, and safe interactions. We will briefly go through how these changes to certain areas of the brain may present in individuals with a brain injury and hear from those who have lived it. We will start with the frontal lobe, located just behind your forehead. Recent research has shown that the frontal lobe may not fully develop until a person's mid-20s, which is important to note when having encounters with younger individuals. Some of the frontal lobe's primary functions are organization, attention, planning, self-control, emotional regulation, judgment, and initiation. This lobe is where we look at the pros and cons of a situation, and with the information, perform problem-solving and appropriate decision-making. Individuals with injury to the frontal lobe may appear impulsive, have difficulty regulating their emotions, or perhaps be perceived as having a lack of motivation because of difficulties with concentration, initiation, and planning ahead. The temporal lobe is located on both sides of the head and is primarily responsible for language, hearing, and memory. Injury to this area of the brain can result in difficulty speaking, understanding words, or challenges with memory to include understanding, storing, and retrieving new information. This can make learning, piecing together a timeline, and following directions a demanding task for some individuals with a brain injury, particularly in a crisis or unfamiliar situation.
Hi, my name is Stephanie.
And I'm Destiny.
In November of 2011, my daughter was in a single motor vehicle accident. She was crushed in the roof of the car, crushed down onto her, and she ended up in the hospital in a coma. When she woke up, it wasn't like the movies where they wake up and they open their eyes and they look around and, oh my gosh, what happened? It was actually much slower than that. She woke up and really the only way we knew she was awake was her eyes were open. She wasn't speaking, she wasn't walking, she wasn't talking, she wasn't anything. So she remained in the hospital learning how to redo everything from walking to holding a spoon and a fork and feeding herself. She remained in the hospital for about 3 months before she came home. And she's been recovering ever since. Part of her recovery has a lot to do with memory. She has a lot of memory issues now. There's lots of things she doesn't remember. Sometimes she can't remember what she had for breakfast. Sometimes, and that can be very frustrating. One of the things that we do to try and help her with that is maintain a schedule for her. She's usually on a pretty strict schedule. She does the same thing, the same time every day. And that way she always knows where she's supposed to be and where she's not supposed to be.
The routine that I go through on a daily basis is kind of crucial for my recovery. I get up and eat breakfast and get ready to go and then go. And if I don't do that in that order, everything is confused like all day. So it's very, very beneficial.
If there's ever a situation that is outside of her normal schedule, it can be confusing for her. She doesn't always know what she's supposed to be doing, what she's supposed to be saying, and she can get confused and scared. We want to make sure first responders know is that, if she does get scared or have an emotional outburst, it's not because she's a dangerous individual, she's not on drugs, she's not any of that. She's scared and confused. And that's a big thing for, I think, first responders to know. The most challenging is what we've recently learned is called confabulation, where she actually has false memories of things that have occurred. She'll come to me and say, well, Mom, you told me this. And I'll say, that never happened. But in her head, she has a very vivid memory of these events happening. And so I have to understand her confusion and try to work with her on understanding this is what really happened and this is what you think happened. Because that's her reality.
It's also very confusing for me just because I actually remember it, and it's one of the few things that I can remember, and it didn't happen. I feel like recreational activities help with the recovery in a significant amount. They aid the emotional recovery, and I think that's the biggest thing, or one of the biggest things after brain injury. For me, it's horseback riding. I horseback ride at the recreational farm I go to. It's very, very awesome.
It really helps her a lot because she's around peers. She's around other people that have survived a similar trauma that she has. So she doesn't feel like she's so alone and nobody understands what she goes through. Nobody knows how her recovery is. They're so helpful. They help her with her emotional issues. They help her with giving her chores and responsibilities and helping her learn how to be more independent.
They really aid with my becoming a person again and not just a recovering person. They help me get back into being a human, which is often tough after brain injury.
The parietal lobe, located at the top of the head, is what takes information from the environment to piece it together, make sense of, and take action. Injury to the parietal lobe can cause a loss of sensory integration, everything you taste, hear, touch, and see, etc. You can see that this would prove vital to understanding when interacting with individuals who have sustained a brain injury. How they process the environment around them may be different. Any sort of buzzing, sirens, flashing or flickering of lights, loud noises, sudden or unanticipated movements can be heightened or overload the individual. When this happens, it can make the process of taking in any additional information extremely challenging. Removal of these potential distractors can prove essential in increasing attention and preventing further escalation. The occipital lobe is the primary visual center of the brain, assembling and processing visual information. Injury can result in difficulty processing and integrating vision, movement, and other senses. When an individual falls and hits the back of their head, they often see stars, because this part of the brain has been stimulated. Some people may lose the ability to process an entire side of their vision. Awareness of any visual challenges and positioning yourself appropriately can be very important. There are also areas of the brain that regulate movement. Located at the base of the brain, the cerebellum can result in slurring of speech, and difficulty with voluntary fine motor movement, coordination, and balance, results similar to individuals who are intoxicated because of a substance. It is important to be mindful of this comparison, as it may be easy to jump to assumptions based on someone's outward appearance or actions. The physical or sensory changes that affect people with brain injury could be heightened in a crisis, in situations they are not familiar with, or as a result of medication side effects.
My name is Jay Sean Gaddy, and now I am 37 years old, but I had my brain aneurysm when I was 21. I was a senior in college, and I was very active. I was in a fraternity and NAACP, and doing an internship at the radio station, and a lot of different stuff. I was in a coma for 30 days, and so when I woke up out of my coma, I didn't know where I was at. I thought I was in a car accident because I didn't even know what an aneurysm was before or after, or really shortly after my injury. So, and then I just was confused because I had stuff on my legs and I couldn't move and everything, and it was just so scary. I mean, it was very pretty tremendously challenging days, learning how to do everything again. I mean, I'm a guy that was a very much of a physical actor. I used to love dancing. Everybody used to call me Dancing Bird. And so for me not to be able to emote emotions or able to really express what I'm really thinking or out verbally, it was kind of frustrating. Physical fatigue is common after a brain injury, emphasizing the need for frequent breaks, but mental fatigue can be even just as tiring. Sometimes I'm at a social gathering or a crowded place. I can only tolerate so much of what's going on before I have to, remove myself. It is as if I need to recharge my batteries because of the mental effort that interactions take. I just couldn't comprehend how tragic this injury was, I still pretty much did a whole lot of rehab, still going to the hospital to do speech and physical and occupational therapies. I was very determined to go back to school, And then in 2004, I finally made it back to school, and I graduated in the fall of 2005. And so then after that, they wanted to do, the first thing they wanted to do was get me with the vocational counselor or vocational rehabilitation to figure out, okay, now what? And my first step is definitely driving. And so I took driver's evaluation, and I started taking some driver's courses. I had to learn how to drive with my left foot, so they had to install a left foot pedal in my car. And so the next thing is, okay, now that he's got a car, now we can get him to figure out a job, working. And that's a whole different story, because that was the most trying part of my life, because all these other job interviews I went on, it's the first thing people look at is my cane or my throat. And as soon as they see that, I feel like they count me out. And so I always hide my cane. I always wear my undershirts backwards to cover my track scar. My first job after my injury was actually in my major of broadcasting. It was just amazing just to have them opportunities. And so they just got me motivated and just steadfast. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm still going to stick to what I'm going to do. And that's what's always good to have such a great circle, supportive family circle and friends and stuff too. Some of the things that I think that people, survivors and support need, their family members need to do is just to have patience and, be understanding and and let them do what they can do. Don't try to crowd them too much and let them find their way.
Faster than we can even register, the brain takes in outside information to analyze, process, and determine a status of safety or danger. Rather than utilizing the higher thought process and emotional centers within the brain to take action, individuals with brain injury or in a crisis will often focus on the emotions to make decisions rather than emphasis on rational thought. Grounding the individuals to the present and other de-escalation techniques can prove vital in shifting the emphasis and getting everyone where they need to be safely. Individuals with brain injury that may have cognitive challenges such as concentration, communication, or memory may need more strategies to help them with de-escalation to accommodate them.
As a mother of a person with a brain injury and also a mental health professional, I have seen the impact of substance issues and brain injury firsthand, particularly how both can interact with each other to make living independently extremely difficult. My son sustained many physical injuries in 1990 when he was hit by a train while intoxicated. When those injuries healed, it was his cognitive functions, such as difficulty processing information during conversation, limited insight, and poor judgment, that became long-term challenges, affecting his ability to relate to others and form relationships. He is often easily irritated, impulsive, and due to slowed processing and short-term memory, often needs information or instructions repeated more than once or twice. His speech may be slurred, or he may have difficulty forming words. His affect, or the expression of feelings showed, sometimes does not match the situation, which can be confusing for those that are not familiar with his difficulty. For example, in a tense situation, he might be standing there smiling, giving off the impression that he's trying to be smart or sarcastic when he is genuinely not. Though my son has made mistakes leading to jail and prison time, there were many factors and obstacles working against him as an individual with a brain injury. With that said, I believe it is not only important for law enforcement and first responders to know, but for all those involved in the justice system to understand the difficulties of those individuals as they work through the system. The challenges that people with brain injury often experience on the inside, such as different thinking patterns, mood swings, and trouble with communication, can make it difficult for others who are outside this person's day-to-day to understand their reactions to the world around them. My hope is that with increased awareness will come patience and empathy. Take the time to step back a minute and assess whether the individual may have a problem that is not easily seen. Then you may better be able to relate to them on a level to understand, thereby promoting a safe behavioral response. By evaluating the big picture, you are keeping yours and others' safety first. More positive interactions can be possible, and a situation can be de-escalated rather than be made worse.
Now that we've looked at what's going on underneath the surface, I hope you get the sense that there is more than meets the eye in brain injury and how it can be unpredictable from person to person. Changes may occur in one's emotions, behaviors, cognition, communication, sensory, and physical capacities, and it is rare when only one of these areas are affected with a brain injury. The areas often interact with each other, leading to multiple challenges and changing how the brain processes the surrounding environment. Despite any changes in the makeup of someone's brain, remember that people with brain injury are people first, deserving respect and dignity, particularly in times of crisis. Even though brain injury can impact anyone at any time, there are populations that have a higher prevalence of TBI. In addition, there are specific groups that have challenges often masking identification of brain injury and therefore affect access to appropriate services. These can include older adults and children, military populations, individuals experiencing mental health or substance use challenges, individuals in domestic violence or intimate partner assaults, athletes and sports-related injuries, and those experiencing homelessness or economic instability. If you come across individuals known to belong to one of these groups, be mindful of the potential for a previous or repetitive brain injury and use strategies appropriately. Law enforcement and other emergency responders are also at risk for sustaining TBIs, including a concussion. Your safety is important. A concussion can occur even without blacking out or losing consciousness and may not appear on brain scans. These symptoms, such as headaches, nausea, blurry vision, dizziness, fluctuating mood, sleep disturbances, or foggy, slowed down thinking, can occur because the brain is working harder to recover affected cells. Though many people recover fully from a concussion, if you experience any signs or symptoms as a result of hitting your head or strong external forces, take notice and seek treatment if symptoms worsen. We will now bring together what we have discussed about the brain and changes after a brain injury with specific scenarios. We will suggest strategies to help foster positive interaction with these individuals who have a brain injury in the community.
911, what is your emergency?
Hi, I was just involved in an accident. I accidentally hit another vehicle, and now he's screaming at me, banging his fist against my car, and I'm really afraid to get out of my vehicle.
Stay in your car, ma'am, and officers will be out to your location right away. Is he threatening your life, or does he have any weapons that you can see?
No, he's just sort of yelling loudly, but he hasn't threatened me.
What are you waiting for? Yo, look at my car. Look at my car. Yo, get out this car. Get out this car. Get out this car.
Hey, step away. Step away from the car. Hey, step away. Look at me.
What?
Look at me.
What?
Step
Can't you see
away.
my car? What can you see? What you doing
Keep
with
that
my car?
cane on the
I
ground.
don't care.
Lower your voice.
No, I
We
ain't.
have a family. You go to the library.
I just got that car, man. Can you understand?
You need to lower your voice and listen to me, and you
What?
keep that cane on the ground.
I need this cane, yo.
And you need to break away from her.
No, what you
I will work it out for you. You
No,
need
you
to calm
can't work
down.
When interacting with a person with brain injury, a commanding presence and exclusion of family members can considerably deter rapport building. A display of aggression or negative behaviors could potentially further escalate by turning it toward the officers or leading to harm of oneself or others. Let's see how the situation would differ if the officers take a more calming tone, tactically communicating with the family and individuals from a distance, maintaining attention and building rapport.
Look at my car. Yo, look at my car. Yo,
okay.
come on now.
It's gonna
Come
be
on, get out that
alright.
car right now.
Calm down, it's
Because
okay.
I ain't paying
It's
for this.
alright,
I ain't paying for this.
everything
I
out.
ain't paying for this.
Step over here for me. What are you doing?
What?
He has
Okay,
a
sir,
TBI.
What?
Officer Mack with the relevant.
I don't care who you are,
Yell
yo.
at
Can
me,
you see
that's
my
fine,
car?
okay?
Man, look at my car, yo.
I'm
I just
Officer
got
Mack.
that car, man.
Can you tell me your name, sir?
John. My name's John, but
John,
yo, it
okay.
don't matter right now.
John,
all I
just
care about is my car. You know, that bitch can't see.
I understand,
She's
John.
just driving
John,
all
look at
over
me.
the place.
Okay, Officer Mack, we just need to calm down just a little. Okay?
Well, I can,
just relax.
man,
we're gonna work
serious.
this out for you. I
Oh,
promise.
oh, God. Oh,
Oh,
God.
we're gonna work this out. Okay, it's okay. Just
Oh,
relax.
God. Oh, just.
All right. First of all, are you okay? Were you injured?
I'm all right, but my car. Look at my
Okay.
car.
How about your wife?
Yeah,
Is
she's
she
all
gonna
right.
be okay? All right.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna have to talk to this young woman too. Okay.
I don't
We're
care
gonna work
about her.
everything out. I do though.
She hit my car.
That'll be my
She
job.
hit my
I'll
car.
work-
Yeah, she gonna
John,
pay.
I'm
Oh,
gonna
you
work
gonna pay.
all this out.
You gonna
for you.
pay.
John, you could
Don't
just
be smiling.
John, you could just look at me.
Man, what you
John,
smiling for?
John,
Okay.
just relax.
All right.
Okay. Would it be okay if we just kind of walk over here?
Yeah, it's all good.
All
I'm
right.
good. I'm
Come on,
good.
let's just walk over here.
Ooh.
We're gonna be all right.
I just
We're
got
gonna work
this
it all
car,
out
man.
for you, I
just got
promise.
this car.
Often, individuals may be triggered or unexpected situations may arise, potentially leading to escalated behaviors. Use of restraining, such as the backpacking technique, may be helpful and least invasive.
Oh, you get out the car. Oh, you definitely in trouble now. Yo, look at my shit. Yo, look at my shit. Yo, look at my shit. Yo, what?
Relax,
Can't you see my
relax.
car, yo? What?
Ma'am, I'm gonna need
Yo,
you to
man,
step
get
back
off
in the
me,
car,
yo.
please.
Get off
Please.
me, yo. Look at
Look,
my car.
I'm
Yo,
Officer
look
Mack,
at my
sir.
car,
Can
yo.
you look at me? Officer Mack with
What?
the Raleigh Police
What?
Department. What is your name, sir?
John.
John, we're gonna
Oh,
get
man.
you to relax, okay?
Look at my car.
We're here to fix everything,
He has
all
a
right?
brain injury.
Just relax. Good. Take a deep breath. That's good. John,
Shit, oh.
I'm gonna.
Don't be smiling, yo.
Okay, it's okay. Look at me. Look at me.
Oh,
We're
shit.
gonna be fine. Look at me, sir. Okay, it's Mac. Okay, I'm gonna get your story. I'm gonna get her story. We're gonna get everything taken care of.
Okay.
You
All
okay?
right. Yeah. Look at my.
You get your balance good?
Yeah.
All
I'm
right.
good. I don't care about my balance. I care about my car, yo.
All right. We're gonna just walk back here. Would that be okay?
Yeah, that's all good.
All right,
that's
John,
all
come on.
good. Yeah, that's all good.
After a few minutes of rapport building, along with information from the other driver, John begins to open up to the officers, talking about his experiences and continued need for help. He tells the officers of his brain injury, as well as the physical and emotional difficulties since the incident. As a note, a restraining approach should only be used if you feel the individual, other persons, or your lives are in danger, and always as a last resort. You are encouraged to seek additional training to enhance your safe restraining techniques.
Yo, man, look at my car. Yo,
Hey,
come
calm
on
down.
now.
It's
Look at this
okay.
shit. I had
We're
just
gonna
got
figure
this car,
everything
yo.
out. It's
For
all
real,
right.
man. You
It's
better get out
okay.
this car.
Calm down.
You better
It's
get out
all
this
right.
car. Yo,
No,
you better get out
we're
this
not
car.
gonna go in there, sir. Sir,
Yo.
can you look at me? Officer Mack with the Raleigh Police Department.
Man, can't you see my car, yo? Look
Okay.
at all that. Look at my...
Can I get your name, sir?
John, man. John, I don't care, man. I just need my car back,
I'm
yo.
Officer Mack. Okay, you're not in any trouble, sir. Okay, but I just want to keep it that way.
I
if we
can't be
can.
in trouble. Look at my car. She hit me,
Okay.
yo.
Okay.
For real, yo. It
Okay,
don't make no
we
sense.
just need to have you. Can you just maybe relax just a little bit? I know it's hard. This is a tough situation for anybody. Okay.
All right.
But I'm here to help you. We're both here. We're just going to try to find out what's going on. Okay.
Okay.
Are
cool.
you injured? Let me ask you a couple questions.
Nah.
Okay. And I gotta ask, have you been drinking?
What you talking about drinking, man?
You're
I ain't
a
been
little
drinking.
unsteady, sir. That's all.
I got a cane, yo. I got a
Yes,
cane.
TBI.
Oh, your wife said you have a traumatic brain injury.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So what?
Oh, no.
She hit me.
Okay. We're gonna work all that out, sir. I promise. Okay. We're gonna get your side of the story. I'm gonna take a look at your car. We're gonna make sure everybody's healthy, and then we'll move on from there. Okay. Okay. We're here for you, brother. I promise.
Just got that call.
It's a tough situation, I know, but you're okay.
Yeah, I'm
That's the
alright.
most important thing. And your
That's
wife
it.
looks like she's okay.
Yeah, my wife is all right.
So you can be all right. Would it be okay, John, if we just walked over there and got some information from you? And I'd actually like to hear a little bit more about your injury.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I gotta talk to my wife too. Make
Yeah,
sure
come on
she's
over.
All right.
All right, perfect. Ma'am, I'll be back with you in just
You
a
all
moment.
right, honey?
I'm okay.
As you have seen, a calmer approach with proper rapport building, asking open-ended questions, being patient, maintaining attention, limiting judgment, and involving family members can result in a de-escalated situation where everyone is in a safe environment. There are three main tools to use when interacting with someone with a brain injury: awareness, simplicity, and patience. Awareness can be an essential first step in helping persons with brain injury. If you are not overtly aware of an individual's brain injury, observe for possible physical signs: a scar on the head or at the base of the neck, use of medications or ambulatory devices. It can also be helpful to reduce or note potential distractors, including a television, flashing lights, sirens, animals, etc., anything that can increase stimulation in the environment, trigger an unfavorable reaction, and prevent or distract the individual from concentrating. For individuals in an escalated state, grounding them to the place and time can be helpful in establishing concentration and a baseline for their state of mind. Keep mindful about the populations that may mask brain injury symptoms. For example, individuals with mental health conditions, substance misuse, and domestic violence and intimate partner assaults may not have a diagnosed brain injury, but if a brain injury has occurred, it may play a role in how they are able to communicate, retain information, or with memory. Be aware of your own personal movements, location, and gestures, acknowledging the changes in how a person interprets their environment and their personal space. Keeping things simple can go a long way to help during and in prevention of crisis situations. One person speaking at a time, obtaining eye contact, saying the person's name often, speaking slowly, and enunciating can significantly assist with maintaining attention and concentration. Avoid speaking down to an individual or not at their appropriate age level, but keep instructions as simple as possible. Instead, break down information into one-step questions or directions. If you notice difficulty with retention or comprehension, respectfully have the person repeat the instruction in their own words. Assist the individual by providing suggestions to choose from to prevent confusion or feeling overwhelmed. Lastly, simplify the environment as much as possible. If you are unable to remove distractions completely, try to position the individual away from further triggers or information in the environment that can sway attention. When situations escalate, having patience may be difficult, but it is extremely important. This is particularly true if the person is in an unknown environment, feeling overwhelmed or uncomfortable. Obviously, if lives are at risk, follow the proper protocols. However, you can model more positive behavior by remaining calm if the situation escalates and emphasizing that you are there to help. If phrases such as calm down, escalate, or frustrate the individual, suggest taking a few deep breaths, allowing for a reaction within the body to assist with calming and helping with attention. Quick rapport is essential between you and the other person. Active listening strategies, such as the use of paraphrasing, clarifying, reflecting feelings, and validating experiences, can help emphasize that you are not someone to fear and make the individual feel heard. Use phrases like, "it sounds like," or "what I'm hearing is," and similar but alternative emotion words. For example, similar words for anxious may be worry, overwhelmed, antsy, or nervous. By reflecting emotions that the person mentions, it can be a short and simple way to connect with them and validate their feelings. If you notice difficulty maintaining communication, patience can be key. The person may need more time to comprehend what is said or time to find particular words. Rushing the person, speaking over them, or getting frustrated will only make it more challenging for the person to think or speak clearly. Allow time for response and processing of instruction to help the other person gather their thoughts and respond accurately. In addition, short breaks can help to reduce both physical and cognitive fatigue, maximizing attention. Redirect behaviors or refocus the conversation as necessary, but do so in a kind and empathetic manner. Be aware that individuals may give concrete, short answers or have actions that are not congruent with the situation. For example, laughing or smiling at inappropriate times. Note that difficulty with short-term memory or confabulation may make recalling events or piecing together a timeline challenging, so be sure to involve family or friends when available to obtain information such as previous hospitalizations, diagnoses, or injuries. Thank you for all that you do to protect and keep people safe with or without a brain injury. We hope that with awareness, simplicity, and patience, more positive interactions among people with brain injury and first responders can be possible, and everyone can get the help needed as safely as possible. Remember, each brain injury is different and every person treated individually. People with brain injury can live full and happy lives with the right support and services. You are part of that support. We hope that by hearing from people with brain injury and their families, investigating the brain, and how changes in the brain can affect someone in crisis, you can feel better equipped with additional tools to help you navigate potentially escalating situations.
How that individual or their family perceive you is just as important as your actions. When individuals are not in a state to advocate for themselves, the family can perceive law enforcement or other responders as hostile or dangerous, when ultimately your goal is keeping everyone safe. It is important for the family to know that you should not be someone to fear and are there to help them get where they are safest.
Every brain injury is different, so what you see from one person will not be the same for every person that you come across. The reactions that they have, the emotional issues that they go through, they they're different for everybody. So, you know, one of the things that they like to say is once you've seen one brain injury, you've seen just that one brain injury.
After a brain injury, initially it's very, very confusing. At least for me it was, because you don't remember anything and everything is brand new to you. It's like you're a toddler and you're relearning how to do everything.
You know, the first responders were there almost immediately at her accident. She was life flighted to the hospital, to the nearest hospital. They're really responsible for saving her life, absolutely.
And I'm very thankful for those first responders because without them I wouldn't be here, so.
With people with any type of mental injury, the first thing is we need time. For responders or any police or enforcers, just to have patience and understanding and just to be supportive and always encourage them and just, you know, be a support group. Have empathy, basically. That's my key word, empathy, you know. And the thing is, this injury is a lifetime.
Responding to individuals and the families of individuals who suffer from mental illness, developmental or intellectual disabilities, whether they were born that way or whether they acquired them throughout their life, can be some of the most rewarding yet challenging work we do as first responders. This work encompasses the service aspect of the protect and serve that we all have on our badge. Any chance to get additional training, tools, or resources for those that we encounter on a regular basis can only make you more effective as a first responder. This work has been both personally and professionally rewarding to me and has given me some of the most memorable and positive experiences I've had as a police officer. Thank you.